Evening campers, it's me, Kira, and we are going to finally discuss Ali Smith's Summer, the last in her seasonal quartet. I've actually been putting off this review for quite some time after finishing this earlier on in the week, but we'll get to that reason. We'll get to that reason soon. Now, before we discuss this, it's worth you knowing this is my first ever buddy read of an Ali Smith book, and I think if anyone is interested in getting the most out of Ali Smith, 100% would I recommend reading one of her books alongside someone. So firstly, I commend Simon Savidge. Oh, hi, Simon. I know that you didn't like when I kicked Summer after reading it, and if you haven't seen it, it's here. I do want to come clean and say there was actually 2 takes. Well, that was a lot harder than I thought. Sorry about that. Who put up with my pessimism, my loathing, and albeit nervous anticipation for this book, because I think for both of us we were picking up on very different aspects of the book, and throughout discussing what goes on in these pages, having someone being able to highlight something or pick up an allusion, because there's multiple going on in Ali Smith's work, does enrich the experience. Friendly reminder for those of you who are new to this channel, I have an absolute passion for hating Ali Smith because I think she's not that good of a writer. I've not found a book I've actually enjoyed and have put myself through multiple of her novels, including all of the quartet now, I can finally say. So how does Summer compare? Not how it compares, because we're just going to review this book. Let's just get into it. The Seasonal Quartet are 4 books spanning the years 2016 to 2020. And Autumn, which kicked off the quartet, was lauded as the first ever Brexit novel. And within Autumn, we see the fall of Britain, really, where we leave the EU, political tension is rife, there's an ease in the country, and there's a clear divide. In winter, we have the slow decay of Britain, where really, due to Brexit, we have a death, an end of an era where Britain will decide its own fates. If Brexit actually goes through, oh, tell me about it. Spring, we venture and hope for the positive, yet everything that has been impacted by winter will always feed into spring. And now in 2020, 4 years later on from the first novel, we have Summer, where what we have sown now must grow. Has there been a positive change since that referendum? It depends who you ask, and really this is what Summer is trying to grapple with. What has been sown, grown, bloomed, and will be ready for harvest in future years to come. Ali Smith does not know the answers, and neither do the people of Britain at this stage. To say that Summer is a positive book really is not the case. What Smith discusses in the 3rd act of this book really is that in order for there to be summer, we must first go through a winter, and in order to have the light, we must have the dark. And it doesn't seem that Ali Smith was ever ready to let go of what has decayed. For in the most sumptuous, effervescent and vibrant gardens in the world, you will always be able to find things that make their way in: lichen, mold, blight, weeds. You will never be able to truly grasp a Garden of Eden without there being a forbidden fruit. And for all those discussions and arguments on the political state of the UK, I have to admire Ali Smith for being able to mention the coronavirus as something that Smith would never have been able to have foreseen. And there are things that happen in this book that are as late as June of this year. Truly, like, this is an astonishing feat of publication. Like, no one can criticize Ali Smith on this. Say with the other books, there's definitely that element of zeitgeist to it. I've recently reread Winter, and I didn't get as much out of it now as I did the 2 years previous. But this book is it's so now. So even if you're interested in reading Summer and you're unsure, I would get this book now and read it as soon as possible to get the most out of this book. So why do I say pick this book up now? Because look, we're not going to forget about the coronavirus. We're not going to forget about people having to wear masks and staying 2 meters apart or 6 feet if you're over the pond. We're not going to forget austerity. We are never going to forget the Conservative government, the Boris Johnson administration. No. But Ali Smith is never direct in anything that she says. Scenes and scenarios that happen in this book are cruel brothers supergluing things to their sisters. We have a mother who has joined a amateur dramatic group who is having a relationship with 2 people in that group, and neither of them know. We have multiple talks of Albert Einstein and the concept of time. We have letters written to unknown people. This is one of the reasons where I would say if you're interested in reading Smith, or you've only read Smith on your own, I would highly recommend reading this with someone as a book group discussion. I think this would bring so much conversation to the table, because this book is not a dialogue with the reader. More so view this as a cacophony of cicadas. Summer is a book that straddles the line of a tangent. If you've read the other Seasonal Quartet books, you're probably used to this. But if you're not concentrating 100%, if you start reading this lackadaisically, if you take your eye off the page and skim, I guarantee you that Smith has already begun changing the subject, changing the focus, sometimes changing the form, at times changing the entire characters altogether. And characters, this is one thing I need to mention, unlike the other books, Summer has visitors from the previous books. Know that I have not recently reread all 3 books, so I cannot tell you how much those stories influence Summer. Knowing Ali Smith, I would say they don't, and it might just make the process a little bit easier to understand what those characters are talking about, because they do inform some of the aspects. Though having read the other 3, I was aware of the characters and where they were situated in, probably not to the best of my ability with all the nuance that is in this book. But I would be comfortable in saying, and knowing Smith through reading many of her works, I wouldn't let it put you off. But if you have read all 3 prior to reading this, I would be interested to know your thoughts. So please let me know down in the comments. So with many characters within many stories, within many plots and many objectives, you would hope as they interlink, there is a distinct voice in each character. You'd hope. Personally, I don't believe that these characters are well defined, but I don't believe that is the purpose of the characters. Again, throughout Ali Smith's work, I believe that themes and ideas are more prevalent than the actual characters, because many people remember how these books made them feel, but can never remember the plot. And that is why I have put this book off, because here's the rub. I don't remember what really happened in these 300 odd pages. So much was going on at times, but even the refreshing Act 2, where we really focus on Daniel Glucker's experience as a prisoner of war. That's all I can really tell you about that. There's interesting talk about how Daniel, being a German, is viewed by the Germans as a Jew. By the British, he's viewed as a German, therefore a Nazi. So it doesn't really fit in. And for me to give you a review, I feel as though I need to tell you that having read this like 4 days ago, if I'm struggling to remember this now, like, how am I going to like remember this in a month's time? It's a I can't remember. To be truly transparent with you, in the last few pages, there's a really prominent moment I feel happened. But I couldn't remember why we were talking about it or why it was important. And I messaged Simon Savidge being like, why? Who? I know we've spoken about this multiple times throughout the pages, but I have like no recollection. And really, this is where I think Summer sits. Is this going to sell well? Yes. Is everyone going to talk about this book? Yes. Is it very current so people are going to understand what's going on in this book? Yes. Will people be reading Ali Smith Summer in 5 years' time? No. No. Like the season, this book will come and it will go. So if I had to judge this book on its own, I would give it a 5 out of 10. It's okay. But if we think about this as like being part of a quartet, is this the worst quartet book? No. Is it the best? No. It's an okay book. It's an okay book, and that's all I can really say about it. I hope you enjoyed this review and I haven't upset too many people, because I know loads of people love Ali Smith and my hatred for her is very much in the minority. But I want to let you know that next week or the week after, I will have a review on Ali Smith's How to Be Both, which I'm going to be buddy reading, because I do think it's the most valuable way to read an Ali Smith book. Heads up, this is the first Ali Smith novel I ever read and hated it. So we'll see if 5 years on will change my mind. I will see you in the next one. I'll see all your lovely comments telling me how wrong I am to hate Ali Smith down below. I'll see you next time. Bye!